Hey guys, so we've had some water here in St. Augustine, and I have this new GoPro. Well, it's a GoPro knockoff, and I've had some trouble with it. It's completely operator error. I've taken hours now of video that I screwed up somehow. I don't know. This is from day before yesterday when I went to the fort. But I wanted to go back and look at some things that I was unsuccessful with. Most of the damage that is around has been cleared up. There's still standing water here and there, but I just was thinking about all the antiquitech here. And if you've seen some of my videos, I've done some pretty extensive 2-hour long videos on some of the buildings here and the histories of things. And I just wanted to take you around and show you some things and pop in some stories. And looking at my card now, it looks like I did succeed in capturing all of it. I filled the card up and I had to use my phone, so we're going to have different resolutions on things. But anyway, so I actually I rode my bike around all over and kind of tied everything together, pondering the question, all this antiquitech, is it still working? Is it still working? We know stuff was here. We know the dates aren't right. We know stuff was here. We know things were changed. We know there were bells in those bell towers, but Flagler took them all out. Why? Well, if there are bells, then we, the plebeians, get the energy that's generated. But if they take out the bells and keep the energy in the buildings, I wonder if that's what's going on. Now, one of the first things they did is they took all the water out of the moat. They changed the sacred geometry so there was no water around the moat, because when there's water around the moat, it's not just about keeping people out. It's also about creating living, etherized water. Can't do that. Not to mention that Henry Flagler destroyed all the sacred geometry that was around the moat and turned it into a golf course. You can see here there's grass down at the bottom of that water. There's only water in that moat because of the storm, because the Matanzas River came over the seawall. That's the only reason there's water in the moat. And that was 2 days ago. I don't know how much water is still in the moat, but that's actually something that I've been seeing in my remote viewing for well over a year now, that a big, big destructive storm was coming and it was going to fill the moat with water. And that something was going to happen because of that. Something in the plasma field would change. And several people that I know that are also very sensitive have gone to see the water in the moat and had the same things to say. They didn't necessarily articulate it that way, but they felt that there was something very different there. Because usually this is really an evil place. There are such frequency fences over the powerful Wardenclyffe Tower that this is, the Stonehenge water system that this is. And the storm washed a lot away. So anyway, I'm going to show you all the stuff that I shot today, riding around on my bike and running my mouth and talking. It was pretty windy. I hope the audio comes out. I haven't even started editing the clips from the GoPro yet. But anyway, so interesting stuff. Hope you like it. So here we are. The tree has been removed. We were here this morning, and as soon as the tree was gone, all of this went back down to where it was before. And we're chipping all morning. So glad it went that way. That's the other piece of the walkway. Oh, I see, that was one of the posts from the old walkway. minor repairs here, really. Those tree guys are busy. So I'm going to show you guys some things. So here I go. Off to the next things. Okay, so I'm catching little snippets. It's very windy today. I hope you can hear me. This is right by my house. I'm by the old jail. This was the second jail. You're supposed to believe that Henry Flagler had that built. I'm not going to go in there. I've done videos about it. But it is in direct proximity to what's on the other side of those trees, which is the St. Augustine Old City Waterworks, which was supposedly built by F.A. Hollingsworth, the man who is responsible for the credit for the construction of the Treasury building. So, more to come of that. Corner of San Carlos and San Marco. This is the traffic circle for uptown. This used to be where the Hornbeck Hornworks wall was, the second moat reinforcement wall that was built after Oglethorpe came down from the British colony that was then Georgia and ransacked what is now Our Lady of La Leche and broke through the city walls. They built a second wall here. There was also a moat. I don't know if you can see, but there's a dip. It's low. US 1, that's US 1 up there, and it's higher. But this was the narrowest point. Just literally about 2 blocks down that street, maybe 3, is the Kansas River. Across here. This is a very important place. Understand there was standing water here because there was a moat. That's part of why it's low. That wall would have been like the original walls to St. Augustine, which was, oh gosh, I can't remember exactly, 8 or 9 feet tall, earth and logs and coquina that they would have then planted what they call Spanish bayonet cactus all over, which is brutal. I mean, the tines on that cactus are like 2 feet long. I mean, if you fall on that thing, you'll die. It'll kill you. Now, this is a park where there used to be a carousel here many years ago. And if you followed my video or Michelle Gibson's videos or people who have done videos about amusement parks and old trolley parks, most of the rides were not built to be rides, but were an ancient technology. Now, this is what I came over here for. This is the Old City Waterworks that also is attributed to F.A. Hollingsworth, who is attributed with the construction of the Treasury building downtown. So it's not the water building anymore. Oh, and it's all closed off. Okay, I guess there was some tree damage. They use it for venues now. I can't get in today. But you see that brick? It's very old brick. I think the building used to end at the end of this 6-point here. I think that awning is an add-on. That partition's an add-on. I don't know what kind of retainer wall that was. It's a raised area now. Looks like they just lost that tree. But Hollingsworth is also attributed with building this. Okay, I mean, you can just look at it and see the functionality of this. If this is truly a waterworks, why is that octagon shape like that? The octagon, well, it's what is it? It's a septagon because it's 6-pointed. It's on the other side as well. There was some kind of technology in there. The waterworks now is on the other side of US 1, which is that main road out there where you see cars going by, in a part of town called St. Augustine. And the waterworks building now is the most insane Tartarian building. Holy cow. But I'm not going over there. Anyway, okay, on to the next. the old city gates at St. George Street. This would have been the moat. And that culvert opening there that you can see, normally the water's not that high there, would have crossed people over the old moat at St. George Street there. The street we're walking on is orange. This was the southern border of St. Augustine, which in colonial days was very small. The front of that building there to that next street on the left, which is Cordova, that was St. Augustine. That wall would have gone all through here. Where we are on orange was the moat. The Huguenot Cemetery, when it was built outside of the city walls for the non-Catholics. That was the point. It was built outside of the city walls. The other wall was here on Cordova, and Cordova was also the moat for the western side of the wall, which is why Cordova floods so horribly, as does Orange Street, during any storm. Just really quick, Potter's Wax Museum. Let's see which way this car is going to turn. Oh, he's turning that way, okay. Potter's Wax Museum, besides being a really morbid place, is also where Osceola's head, the Seminole leader Osceola, is attributed to have been sold by the doctor who was taking care of him when he was in jail at the Castillo. He died there, and doctor cut off his head and sold it to the guy who owned Potter's Wax Museum. It was like an apothecary place, and the guy had Osceola's head in alcohol. Sick. Okay, this is Cordova Street. So again, this was the western wall and the western moat. If it rains for 15 minutes, this street instantly floods. It turns into a lake. We're coming up on the Tolamato Cemetery, which is the oldest cemetery in St. Augustine. Let's take a look over there. It was all blown about, but I didn't notice that any stones were destroyed. They've cleaned it up, but they haven't finished. I can see that there are bags in there. This cemetery is pretty well taken care of because the history here is so important. The first bishop of St. Augustine was interned here. Very old original people are here in the cemetery. Founding families, lots of Menorcan families. You see it hasn't been cleaned up too much. Here's another example of what I was talking about right there. If you can see that, that stone right there. Leoncia died March 18th. What does that say? It says I 874. Not one, it says I. Huh. I. Like Iesa. Like year of our Lord Jesus, 874, not 1874. Again, Scaliger and the time change. Okay? Probably some of the above ground crypts suffered some damage in terms of foundation. There was standing water here for quite some time. Okay, so finish this clip and on to the next. Grace Methodist Church was at the corner of Cordova and Carrera, as in marble, attributed as to being built by Carrera and Hastings, Tartaria 101, using that concrete coquina that no one knows how to do now, but apparently we're told that Frederick W. Smith learned how to do this from an indigenous person. One of the many things Carrera and Hastings supposedly built. All that indestructible coquina concrete and all that magnificent terracotta. There's a reason I'm showing you all of this. On to the next. What do you think these were for? They look like cathodes? Or was that just stylistic? And do those look like old mercury ball receptacles? Catching ether? So you believe that Carrera and Hastings built all this in, they say, 4 years? You think? Well, I need to remind you that where I'm walking right now, back then, was a creek, which means I had to drain all this first. And if you look at really old pictures of the Ponce de Leon Hotel around the turn of the century, you can see that this was a creek. That's an awful lot to do. In this great big octagon round building, which is now supposed to be the restaurant. Sure. And it's that concrete, that coquina concrete mix that no one knows how to do now. Look at all that antiquitech. Look at those windows. If there wasn't so much going on, I would walk through the walkway, but it's in so many videos that I've already done. The red brick and the concrete, iron and silicate, making every window a battery, a solar battery. Now see, it had a bell tower. Now why would he have Carrera and Hastings build bell towers if he didn't want bells? Why would he do that? What's the point of that? What a waste. There's a tour bus right behind me and you can hear the hack telling his total inheritor stories. Why would he have Carrera and Hastings build bell towers if there weren't bells in them? And have them go up and put those copper balls and plasma collectors at the top? Why? because they were already here and they had bells in them, and he destroyed all the bells. I'm sure what the bells were destroyed and melted down for is in the wrought iron in the hotels. Look at, there's some open windows. They had some water damage. Radium fireplaces. So we're coming up on the corner of Cathedral, that's King, where the stoplight is. Across the street is the Alcazar Hotel, which is another hotel that supposedly he had Carrera and Hastings build. Hell no. Anyway, I'm going to turn this off and go around. So here we're coming up around the front of what is now Flagler College, which was the Ponce Hotel. I am walking on King Street. Right across the street from what is now the Lightner Museum, it was the Alcazar Hotel, built with that same coquina concrete, again with those bell towers. And Henry Flagler didn't like bells. As I said, I'm not going to go in. Oh, you know what? The doors are traced anyway. You can't get in, and the cops are here. Why would they build bell towers? Oh no, you can't go in, but I'm not going to go in. Why would they build bell towers if he didn't want bells? We know why he didn't want bells. Bells activated the plasma to turn the water in the plasma, the etheric water, into living water. See if I can just get a shot of the Antiquitech at that fountain for you. Remember, I'm still walking my bike. See that Antiquitech there in the middle of the fountain? Yeah, they just built that because it's pretty? I don't think so. And look at that red Mercury tower at the top. They just built all that because it's pretty? I don't think so. You can go online and look at lots of pictures of what it looks like on the inside. It's glorious, and there are Tiffany windows. That's what I think Carrera and Hastings did. He certainly didn't build it. Also, keep in mind, when this hotel opened, there were no bathrooms in the rooms. And you're supposed to believe that. Even at the time, in the time of the robber barons, that people were not used to individual bathrooms. That a common bathroom down the hall was acceptable. That should make you think. Touches on that Tartarian free energy, higher elevated being thing that we know so much about. Lots of buildings where that's the case, there were no bathrooms. The finders had to put bathrooms in them. So here's the Via Zorata. This is supposedly the winter home of Franklin W. Smith. This is the guy who built this based on what he learned either from an indigenous person or a Spanish architect that was here. I can't remember which, but I did a whole video about this guy, and you can learn more about that there. And when Flagler came, I think his first trip here was in the 1850s. He saw this house, which was a house at the time, and went crazy for it and wanted to know, and was supposedly this was part of his inspiration to build his hotel across the street. It's now a museum. Why is it so Moorish? The story is because Mr. Smith came from a wealthy family, and he was able to travel as a young man, and his time spent in South Africa really inspired him to build a winter home here in then the wild lands of Florida, and partner with Flagler to turn it into the Riviera, the French Riviera of the American South. And then the Alcazar, which we're supposed to believe Flagler started construction of the year that this hotel opened, because this hotel would fill up. And he had burned down at least 2 of the hotels that were already here. So he started construction, we are told. Just kept Carrera and Hastings working, building that. There's artisanal water that comes up in a fountain on the inside. I'm not going in. I suspect everything's closed today anyway. But there's an artisanal fountain in there. You can smell the artisanal water. They also had the largest pool, inside pool in the world at the time. They had steam baths. Look at all that. Again, bell towers. But Franklin Flagler wouldn't allow anyone to have bells. Radian fireplace chimneys. Franklin Smith's concrete. And then this was Franklin Smith's big hotel originally. I think he went belly up not even 2 years after it was finished. He called it the Casa Monica. There used to be a walkway that connected the Alcazar Hotel to the Casa Monica. Flagler bought it when he went belly up. Now, of course, it's been refacaded many times. When Flagler bought it, he called it the Cordoba. And then it was actually City Hall for a while. And I don't remember the story now exactly when it went back to private ownership or anything like that. But if you're interested, if you look at my video that I did about Franklin Smith and the Zorata and all of that, then I've never been. People had told me it's quite glorious. I'm going to end this segment here and start again in a second. The architect whose name I was trying to remember is Renwick. It just came into my mind. I think Renwick built the bell tower, but I could be wrong. Hell, it could have been Hutchison, I don't know. Anyway. Just look at that tower. So, okay, so pretty much can't deny that the building was built in 1926. All that was here before was a single-story building. Everything on here was a single-story building. Church was rebuilt twice. I don't remember who built the church. Here's what I want you to think about. And I want you to think about it here. I want you to think about it there. Flagler College, Ponce Hotel, Alcazar, Casa Monica, all the things I've shown you, including houses. What if the technology still works? It doesn't work the way it used to. It doesn't work with the bells to etherize the water in the air, to send out healing frequencies to all of us, and to supply free energy to the city. That doesn't work anymore. They made sure they broke that. But what if they know enough to have created that technology there to serve them? What if they have maybe not free energy, but considerably decreased energy bills because they know enough about the technology of the combination of the terracotta and coquina and stone, and the collector of the copper dome on top? What if? What if? What if that's really why they built this? Maybe that's why they built a tall building, because they wanted it to be high enough to capture so much ether. Since there's supposed to be free energy at the elevation that planes fly. So what if that's what this is? Was it built in 1926? Yeah, I believe so. What if the part of, that Bascule Bridge, that bridge that opens up, what if part of what powers it is the free energy in the towers, the octagon, terracotta and brick domed towers with the filigrees on the top to catch the plasma? What do you think? You think that could be? And you think maybe that's what's going on at Flagler College too? Do you think maybe the reason that they kept all this cool, beautiful stuff is not so much because it's so historically significant, but because it works? And they had people like Tesla, in this case, they had Edison, who were able to figure out the electrical basics, to figure out how to make it work for them. But they took away the bells, because the bells, you see, would have distributed all that free energy to everyone in the town. And through the activated plasma and ether that the bells created, all the old homes that had domed roofs with filigrees and constructed with combinations of terracotta and limestone would have activated all that silicate, and iron would have been activated by that activated ether, providing free energy and healing for all the people that lived here. What if that's why Flagler didn't want bells? What if that's why the bell tower tops are all boarded up? This is Trinity Parish I'm walking by. What if that's what it's about? What if that's why there was no water in the moat at Castillo San Marcos? Because the water that was in the moat would have been highly charged by those 90-degree angles of that star fort and that highly silicate quartz reactive coquina stone. That's why they took the water out, because the water would have been activated, serving the plasma that all of these. This is the side of the Alcazar Hotel. Now it's called the Lightner Museum. That water that was activated at the Castillo San Marcos would have been etherized and then further activated by the bells in the bell towers, captured by all those filigrees to run what was the Alcazar Hotel, which is most likely an old healing center. There's a very, very, very ancient, the basement of that hotel was a pool. You can see very old photos. So it was either flooded intentionally at some point. Remember, it's built on top of an artesianal spring. In fact, old photos of when the hotel was being built or when it was first opened show that on both sides it was, where we're walking now, this was marsh. What if that's what it's all about? That is the question. So I'm going to the Federal Cemetery because I haven't been there yet since the storm. I'm going to turn St. Benedict the Moore School, located at 86 Martin Luther King Avenue in the Lincolnville National Historic District of St. Augustine, Florida, was an all-black Catholic school built in 1898. The money for the construction of the school, $7,500, was donated by Catherine Drexel, 1858 to 1955, a nun of the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament, an order founded, quote, to serve Indians and colored people, unquote. Drexel, a member of a wealthy Philadelphia, Pennsylvania banking family, was the niece of Anthony J. Drexel, founder of Drexel University. Catherine Drexel was made a Catholic saint by Pope John Paul II in 2000. A school named in honor of St. Benedict the Moore was constructed of brick and was one of the first schools for black students in Florida. The students were instructed by nuns of a local convent, the Sisters of St. Joseph. There were between 90 and 100 students enrolled per year at the school, which was opened between 1898 and 1968. The school is located on a parcel of land which includes the school of the southern end of the property, the parish house to the center, and the church of St. Benedict the Moore on the north end. The school was closed as a result of school desegregation legislation, which arose in the wake of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The events which occurred in St. Augustine, of which Martin Luther King Jr. played a key role, were an important catalyst in the passage of the Civil Rights Act. Years prior to the Civil Rights era, in 1918, 3 white Catholic nuns were arrested for violating a 1913 Florida prohibiting law white teachers for instructing blacks. The 3 were acquitted on the grounds that the law did not apply to private schools. St. Benedict the Moore School now sits in the Lincolnville National Historic District, placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1991. Despite the designation, the building sits exposed to the elements with no roof or windows. The roof was removed during 2006 as part of a restoration project, which has been stalled for an alleged lack of funding. Is attributed with building. Here's St. Benedict the Moore Church. More, huh? More. Huh. More? Like Tartarian? Oh dear. I actually did a video about the history of that old jail that's called the Old Jail. Now it's an attraction, sick as that can be. The jail that supposedly Flagler had commissioned because he didn't want the old Governor's House jail with reprobates across the street from his snazzy hotel. So that jail remained a jail into the 50s. That old jail on San Marco, if I remember correctly, remained a jail into the 50s, and then the new jail was built essentially out where the jail is to this day. And the original building is there. That Hollingsworth is also attributed with building. I have been out to that complex because that's where I vote. That's my voting area. That's all where all the county stuff is. But I haven't been to that particular building, and it would require me getting in my car, and I don't want to do that. Oh, there's a guy trying to turn. I don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to have to put the camera down. I don't know what this guy's going to do. That was very nice. He let me go by. Anyway, so yeah, Hollingsworth, the guy who is attributed with building the Treasury building, the skyscraper that I thought was a dirigible dock that wasn't hired because he was such a notable historical architect. So why was he hired? Because Edison was all around here. They say Edison wired the Alcazar and the Ponce de Leon. Interesting. Wired it, huh? They knew how to wire it, and he knew how to figure out all that ancient engineering to turn all that old antiquitech into a way to keep them from having to pay bills. Same with the bank, the Treasury building. La-di-da, I don't know, you decide. It's up to you to decide what you think is right. I don't know. I'm still in Lincolnville. See, it's so beautiful. I'm just wandering around. I don't want to get out on Riberia. It's where all the big trucks and everything drive, because, well, now there's big trucks everywhere because there's so much cleanup and remediation going on. But even when that's not the case, because all the boatyards and marinas are out there, there's always big ass trucks. But you know, I wanted to go past the ice house and then show you the church that's across the street from it. So I think I'm going to turn this off for this snippet, and I'll turn it back on when we get... Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I think I came right out at the ice house. How perfect is that? I'm just wandering around absentmindedly, and I came out exactly at the ice house. So this is the old ice plant, which is now a snizzy snazzy bar. Tartarian much? Tartarian much? I haven't been in there. Just look at it. Just look at it. See, there's no sidewalk here, so I don't want to ride here because there's no sidewalk. But yeah, that's the ice plant. And it's the distillery. Tartarian much? Okay, I'm going to turn this off and turn it back on when I get to the church. And you see it's on King, so right up King, you see there, that's King Street, and up King you see the bell towers to the Alcazar Hotel. You can't see the ice plant, but it's not there. I'm going to see if I can cross the street without getting killed. There's one more set of Hollingsworth buildings I want to show you. Of course, what's standing today has been refacaded numerous times, but the integrity of the architecture, oh my gosh, I just got all kinds of crap in my eyes. The integrity of the architecture is from his construction, and man, am I going to be ready for lunch. There's actually a great burger place here on King Street. It's behind me, but it's a little greasy. So those three buildings right there. There's three buildings. Corner of King and Malaga. This was Flagler's railroad station, and Hollingsworth is supposed to have built them. That's also the San Sebastian Winery. Tartaria much? Right on the water. I'm gonna have to get off my bike and walk. So here we are. These were the three buildings that comprise the old railroad station. And Flagler bought all the old railroad lines that were already here, crossing Florida, connecting east to west and north to south. Yes, the railroads were already here. They were already here. He didn't build a railroad. You see, Florida East Coast Railway, Flagler system. This was the old railway system. Flagler didn't build the railroads. What he did is he unified the track so that any train could run on any track. Because at the time, the tracks were all different gauges, so you could only have one line run on one gauge of track. He supposedly unified all the track. And you're supposed to believe that he built the bridges to take the railway down to the Keys. I don't know if you've ever been to the Keys and you've seen the coquina foundations of those bridges. Yeah, they were there. Just like the technology of the trains themselves was already there. So this is where the old railroad station was. This stuff now here, I believe, is part of Flagler College. I don't know if it's residence or teaching or what. What else? If I can, without getting myself killed, I want to take you over and show you the old Orange Street School, which Hollingsworth also is attributed with building. It's interesting to consider that his original construction burned in a mysterious fire in the early 60s. Oh my! Of course he didn't build it. But in the 60s, I guess they decided, you know, that whatever technology was in there that was serving the students or the people, or, you know, keeping energy money out of the pockets of the Rockefellers, they just had to burn it down and rebuild. So, very convenient way to get rid of the technology that was there. So what did Hollingsworth do? Well, I think he did what Carrere and Hastings did to the Alcazar and the Ponce de Leon. They just made it pretty. They restored things, made them pretty. They didn't build. Oh gosh, I'm getting to cross. Woohoo! I'm getting to cross. Let's see if I can avoid this puddle. There's a car right behind me. Alright. So now we're back in the old part of town. When you cross King Street, you're no longer in Lincolnville. We're coming up on Sevilla, and we're coming up on Memorial Cathedral. And you can see how, you really think that that was built in 1 year? In the 1890s? You think? You think? I don't. Look at that. The dome alone. And again, I haven't been in. There are lots of pictures you can see inside. What is that big thing? What is that big rotunda thing, right? What is that? And they filled in. Tower. So I used up the battery on my GoPro, so I'm gonna have to film these last bits on my phone, which I don't have the phone tripod, so I have to stop and show you. So this is the rebuild of Orange Street School, which Hollingsworth is also attributed with building. As I told you, the original one burned in the 60s. Oh my, oh my, oh my. And so they tried to restore it. Across the street is this administration building, which, brick and concrete. Interesting. Antiquitech. Some more Hollingsworth. Look at all that Antiquitech on the arches. But this is Orange Street, which was part of the old culvert, moating culvert. I'm going to try, I might regret this, to ride with and I'm just holding the phone in my hand because I didn't bring my phone. But we're coming up on the parking garage. We're coming up on the back of the Tolomato Cemetery. You know, I think I can get over. Normally, oh, no, I'm not going to get over because there's a car. Yep, it's too dangerous. Coming up on the back of Potter's Wax Museum, where Osceola's head was preserved in alcohol in a jar, where people paid to see Osceola's head. So there in front of me, you see the Castillo San Marcos ahead, and the old coquina walls, the St. George Street. That's supposed to be Henry Flagler. What a disgusting human being he was. I'm going to try to cross right now. So again, that's Cordova Street. That was the westernmost moat. This is, you can see where the trees were cut down and filled in here after the storm. This is the back of the Huguenot Cemetery, the Yellow Fever Cemetery. This and the Tolomato are open once a month for guided tours only, because these, not only are these incredibly old stones, but this was the plague cemetery. So the fact of the matter is, no one really knows how many bodies were buried here. So this is very, very hallowed ground. In front of us here, this is that visitor center, where if you've watched my videos about the history of this place, you've seen many of the maps that are there that I've snapped photos of. This is the parking garage, where people like me who live in the neighborhood are allowed to park for free during storms because everything floods. And then in front of me you see the new Castillo Hotel, which is built in honor of the old San Marco Hotel, which you didn't hear me say this, but Flagler had burned. Oh, I didn't say that. I would never say anything like that. Oh gosh, no. And there's Warden Castle. What was the name? I can't remember his first name. One of Flagler's business partners. This was Winter Home that became Ripley's. Reminiscent of the Hotel San Marco. Gonna see if I can get across. I don't want to go over there. The energy at the Ripley's is so bad. It's just so bad. A Moorish construction like that right next to the Castillo. What do you think that kind of grid system is about, right? What do you think? Maybe. All right. I'm going to have to turn the phone off. It's getting goofy here. Scoops on San Marco. And they have pumpkin frosted coffee. Scoops in San Marco. Highly recommended. There's my bike. I'm going to sit here and have some ice cream and some water. I got lemon sherbet and blueberry cheesecake. Now, all the real cool snacky stuff is around here. Right across the street, you see that orange sign that says Sunday. That's an amazing brunch place. They make their own sourdough bread. Big, massive loaves that are so crusty and delicious. They do these toasts, like big, massive hand-cut piece of toast, and then they'll put whatever you want on the toast. Like my favorite is like lox and roasted mushrooms and cream cheese. That's my fave. That's on San Marco. And right next door to Scoop is Luli's Cupcakes. They're massive. They're massive cupcakes. They're not little cupcakes like at Publix. You know, they're massive cupcakes. Up the road a bit is the Swinery. I'm not big a pork person, but very high-end restaurant. There's a cool bookstore here. Absolutely independent bookstore here. We've got Crafts Without Borders, and then Uptown Materialistic is the bookstore. And some cool craft stores. I'm going to finish my ice cream. And then the doors are open at Castillo, not Castillo, San Marcos, Our Lady of la Leche. So I'll take you over there too. I'm scarfing this down, but I just wanted to show you that this blueberry cheesecake ice cream has chunks of cheesecake in it. Chunks of cheesecake in it. Almost done. I love my black and green bike. That's my power color right there. My bike was downstairs and got so rusty. I WD-40'd everything. I'm going to have to steel wool and scrape up all the rust. Got a fence over there. That's the fence around Our Lady of la Leche and the Cathedral. Lady of la Leche is the name of the old historic church, and then the big new cathedral where they hold services now is I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, more cheesecake bites. So let me finish being a hog and finish this, and I'll take you over to Our Lady of la Leche in the cemetery. Alright guys, I scarfed that our ice cream done in record time. Again, if you're in San Marco, stop by Scoop. I mean, if you're in Old Town, there's all kinds of places I can tell you to go. The most amazing place is the gourmet popsicle place called Hippos. There's one on Charlotte and there's one on Hippolyta. They make like every kind of popsicle, including alcohol popsicles. Oh my god, I should try to get across right now. Oh shit, no I can't. Okay. I want to get across before that freaking red train tour bus came, but I can't. Anyway, down to San Marco, go to Sunday, get some sourdough bread or get a toast entree, get Scoop, get some yummy ice cream, go to Luli's and get a cupcake that's big enough to be a meal. And then when you're all hogged out, there used to be a Dairy Queen over here too. When I first moved to Florida and I came here the first time, actually before I moved here, the first time I came here, which was years before I moved here, there was a Dairy Queen here. But it's gone. I love Dairy Queen. This is part of the problem of the street. Sometimes it's just wall-to-wall cars, you know. You have to wait for the grace of somebody to let you by. This isn't bad. It's just consistent enough that you can't really get across. And I don't want to have to run like a lunatic because there's no need. But I'll just wait here. When there's something going on in Old Town, it's a joke. You cannot cross this street for anything, let alone even to pull out and make a right turn. This isn't too bad. So here we're coming up on Our Lady of La Leche and the grounds, and that water's high. I noticed that it's open. Let me get on my bike. I can ride my bike in. Oh, the Dairy Queen was right back there, actually. See where it says entrance? Yeah, that was the Dairy Queen. In fact, the first time that I ever came here was before I lived here. I went in there, I saw that cross. I was like, oh my God, what's with that cross? And I thought, oh, Dairy Queen. And I went in, I got a dipped cone. And then I walked over here and walked all over and saw the old church and the cross. So I can ride my bike in, but then you can't ride your bike on the grounds, which, no problem. It's a cemetery. You shouldn't be able to ride your bike on a cemetery. Nombre de Dios, that's the name of the church. Now, I don't remember now. I'll look for you, though. These markers here, these old coquina walls, might be in the museum where it tells you those are of significant historical significance. Nombre de Dios is the name of the church. Yeah, there's historical significance to those things. So I have to get off my bike here. I'm gonna get up here by the museum because you can't. Here, I'll let you read this. Bull crap. Here on September 8th, 1565, 55 years before the Pilgrims set foot on Plymouth Rock, Pedro Menendez de Avila, the butcher, founded the town of St. Augustine and Nombre de Dios mission. In the same dates, Friar Francisco Lopez de Mendoza Gracias held high the cross and celebrated the first parish mass. After mass, Spanish settlers in the neighborhood of Timaquin celebrated a meal of Thanksgiving and their bullshit. With the founding of Nombre de Dios, the extensive missionary effort was initiated through Spanish La Florida, which means place of flowers. 200 years before the first Spanish mission in California, Nombre de Dios and over 400 missions stretched from St. Augustine south to the Florida Keys, north to the Chesapeake Bay, west to Pensacola. In the early 1600s, the Spanish settlers established the first shrine to Mary, which we will see, the Mother of God, in this land under the title Nuestra Señora de la Leche y Bon Porto. The chapel and the beautiful statue are dedicated to motherhood. May your visit be a pilgrimage blessed by God's peace. May your journey home be safe. That water's very high. And, yeah, so this was all, that's a really interesting museum. I don't think it's, oh no, it is open today, but I'm not going to go in. When I did the very long, extensive, detail-filled video about that cross and Menendez the butcher, I included a lot of photos that I took from that museum, old maps and things. So there's my bike. I didn't lock it up because it's a Catholic church. Better be safe. Anyway, so this was all the first settlement. And when I talked about where the horn bank was, the hornbank, the hornworks, the wall that was built at what is now San Carlos Street, that's that way, several blocks. It was to create another barrier of support because Oglethorpe, and what's his name, up there, Oglethorpe was the governor of, or no, I guess he was general, the general of the British colonies in Georgia. And then there was the jackass up in the Carolinas whose name I can't remember. They came down here, and this was a settlement. There were Spaniards here, there was a mission here, and the Timucuans that decided to cooperate with the invading butchers agreed to be part of the settlement, you know, so they could be allowed to live. And they were all here, and not just here, but they were also, before all those houses were there, it was all part of this. And what is next door to here, what is now the land known as, the property known as the Fountain of Youth, that was all part of this. The settlement of Menendez de Avila, the settlement of Siloy. Now, that's the statue of Father Francisco. It used to be here. When I first came here, before I moved to St. Augustine, but when I first came here, that statue was right here. On that platform. And they moved it there. Oh, crap. There was a hawk right there in that tree with a fish, and I disturbed him. Oh, crap. I hate that I disturbed him. Anyway, yeah, so if you're interested in any of this horse crap, I did a long video about the history of this place and the cross and the Spanish butchers and all that stuff. Yeah, the fish are eating good. Here's the old, here's some old stuff here. Interesting, yeah? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that water's pretty high. Usually, you can usually see more of the rocks. I don't think, I guess I can go over there. See, they moved this. This is they moved it on the 12th, 2012. So they moved it over here. Usually you can see more of the riprap rocks here, but it's all really high. Now over there, if you look, so that all over there, that's all Fountain of Youth. Originally, that was all part of this, a part of Menendez's settlement known as Siloy. So if these guys doing repair work will allow me to walk across the bridge, I'm going to walk over. I think I can walk over there. That's the Matanzas River. Oh, there's still standing water over there. There's still standing water in the low spots. This is a place where I have done a lot of site work. I've actually left a lot of stones around this tree. I've just always felt called to this tree. And for the longest time, the stones remained. And I remember, maybe not the last time I was here, but the time before, someone dug all the stones up. Now, of course, they'd be gone now, because all of this was underwater. But, you know, yeah. Stones, gems, you know, crystals. I love crystals. So I've walked over the bridge. I'm here at the Stations around the Great Cross. Again, if you're interested in this monstrosity, I did an extensive about it with lots of details. Actually, it's one that Michelle Gibson mirrored, which was pretty spectacular. We were walking around the Stations of the Cross. Now, when I first came here, there was nothing here but that cross. This building just to commemorate, this is such bullshit, where Menendez and Friar Francisco put their first foot on America, on Florida, and raised the cross. Yeah, horse shit. There was nothing here but that. Now, in the last couple of years, they've added to it. They've planted these trees. They've erected the Stations of the Cross. What the hell is this? I want to know. What the hell is this? What are these? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are at least 8 of these things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 10 or 12 of those things. Go all the way around the cross. And those lights, the cross is illuminated at night. You can see this cross for miles. Absolutely for miles. Look at all that washed up. That's a lot of what those guys are doing. They're just taking away all of the what washed up, and that overstep there, that's Fountain of Youth, and that's where they shoot the stupid cannons and crap. Jeez. To the sacred geometry or unsacred geometry of this cross. It's called Great Cross of St. Augustine. It's easier to research. Just Google it. It has a Wikipedia page. But again, if you're interested in dirt, check out about it. See, these concrete things are over here too. And the Stations of the Cross continue circles all the way around. So this is all in the Kansas River, and this is high as hell. I'm telling you, this is high. This is high. These benches are, what do you call it? It's like, you erect it in memory of somebody, whatever you call it. Memorial, yes, memorial. Some member of the church put that up. Now you can't have geomancy like this and not have a Masonic symbol nearby, right? Right? If you're gonna have geomancy like that, you need a Masonic pyramid. You know it. These houses really would have gotten a lot of... I wonder what these people did with their boats. I doubt that those boats were here. This is really interesting, this map. I don't know if you can see it. It shows the indigenous that were here in the region. Muskogee, Cherokee, Catawba up there, Carolinas, Timucua, that's us. The Gull, Gullah-Geechee, the Yamasee, the Appalachee, and all the missions that the Spanish built, Tocobago, Colusa, the mound builders, the Tequesta. Big time mound builders. The Timucua were the giants. There's old drawings when the French were here, and the Spanish too, done by the court artists that were come to, draw and record everything that happened. They, you see these drawings of the French with all their stupid finery, and the Spanish with their even more ridiculous finery, and these indigenous people that are heavily tattooed and feathered and wearing all this ornamentation, and they're 2 feet taller at least. And their giant skeletons were found over there at what is now the Fountain of Youth. That's part of why the Fountain of Youth is now there as a sickening tourist attraction, because everybody knew that this was all that original Sealor territory, but it wasn't until they found those skeletons that it was like, oh my god, we can call this an archaeological site, and we can charge a lot more money for people to come visit. So this shit here, this is all new. There are all these balls. I think it's blue calcite. I think there's 40. I think there's 10 of these big ones. And then there's 4, 6. There's 10 of the small ones between the stations of the big ones. And there's actually, I don't know anything about Catholicism, but there's a thing that you do, like the Stations of the Cross, like you walk to each station and there are things that you say. And there is a prayer sequence that goes along with all of these, and I've seen people do it. I think maybe you have to know how to do that, or maybe in the gift shop they have the prayers, I don't know, but I've seen people doing it. And then in 2020, the Nursing Mary, Our Lady of La Leche, was sainted, and so a crown was added to her, and yeah. I think this is all from that time. All this cocaine is fairly new. So yeah, see, there are all these smaller, I think it's blue calcite balls, and then some ceremony. And I've seen people do it. They say their prayers, and they touch the ball or whatever, or they touch the room and say their prayers. And then you come. Oh no, it's a mess. Oh no. Oh no. You come to one of these, right? I mean, we've got all this geomancy, and we have all this Masonic pillared structuring going on. This got tore up pretty good. You see? There's an osprey right there. I'm going to walk by so I don't piss it off. I already pissed off a hawk. And so people walk, and I think I'm going the wrong way, which I wouldn't be if there were people doing the ceremonial walk. I wouldn't be here doing this, because I don't believe in this stuff, but I don't like to be disrespectful to relationship with God, Don't you love this modern wall that is like supposed to mimic, what is it, Tiambo in Central America, where the stones are, well, you know, clearly they were softened by brown gas or something and put together and cut and shaped. Right? This is all new too. It's just like Ponte Tiempo. It's goofy. Why do they choose that pattern? I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah, that water's high. There's usually not water there. But there would have been water all up here. It's all fresh and clean now because the water and the heavily etherized wind and everything from the storm washed away all the stuff. But there's bad energy here, guys. There's a lot of bad things that happen here. You want to believe that there's a Thanksgiving dinner here. Oh my God. I'm going to walk over away from this devilish frequency resonator. I get a headache every time I walk by this thing. Ugh. It's the epitome of geomancy. Ugh. I think that there was something there. Obviously, that's new technology. Obviously, that was built and raised in the 60s, and there's plenty of newspaper articles and things to prove it. You see this area before the cross was there, there's nothing here. Clearly, that went up in the 60s. But what I'm saying is, there was something there. There was something there. I don't know what it was. So we really don't know a lot about what was here before, unless the archaeologists find it. Ruin there. There's no one left to talk about somebody's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother used to tell a story and passed in stories of Not all of the indigenous in Florida were pyramid builders or mound builders. You know, you can't say pyramids in America. You upset too many people. But now, let's walk over here onto the cemetery part and over to Our Lady of La Leche. So now we're here over on the old side where the chapel is, Arts of Archaeology, and I can show you where that stone formation is. I have a picture of. I'm not going to walk over there because that's all cemetery. I find it interesting that that fountain is a star. Don't you? Nombre de Dios mission. Yeah. First shrine, yeah. This was a mission all over this land. I'm telling you right now. There are indigenous people buried in unmarked graves. Lots of these things here where people have memories of family members. stairs and things, lots of stuff like this. But I'm not going to walk out there. The video that I did about the cross, I did walk out there and I showed you every single tombstone. But I'm not going to do that today. Let's go over here to this disgusting area here. This is, of course, this was a modern building, modern construction, but they're saying that this is where the that first Mass was held, that first Thanksgiving. And every single person that I know, whether they've lived here their whole life or just a couple of years, whenever they come here, they're absolutely horrified by the energy around this place. Anybody that does any kind of remote viewing or anything like that, rustic altar, my ass. First Mass, now I'm getting a headache. Yeah, they did Masses here all right. Sacrificial ones. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, my head hurts just being this close to it. Give you a better view of... That's all the Fountain of Youth over there, those old buildings. On the other side of all those trees and that fence in the distance, that's the Fountain of Youth. Oh, God. That is just evil. Evil. And again, you know, I mean, why is the altar there? There's something significant about that coordinate. There's something there. And that's why they made that their altar spot and their sacrificial spot. Because there's, oh no, this one fell. Oh gosh. And you can see there was a piece of rebar in there to keep it. It has already broken a couple times and they repaired it, but it was damaged in the last, in this storm, I'm sorry to say. Look at that, was turned on its side by the wind and the water. This would have had water standing for some time. Now these fountains, this is artesian water, you know. That other fountain over there that's the shape of a star, this one, that's artesian water. The same artesian water that runs under the Castillo San Marcos. Yes indeed. Yes, indeed. Octagon. Interesting. I'm going to walk up. This is a Lady of Leche. I'm going to walk up, and if there's nobody in there, I will take you inside. But if there's anybody in there, I'm obviously not going to go and film because it's just so weird. At least it was built. So I'm going to turn the camera off and see if there's anybody in there. So come out of the church. There's a historical marker. Dios. I was going to show you an old Tartarian church by my house. But I thought that since I'm here, I would go by the front wall of Fountain of Youth. I'm not going to go in. It's $25 to go in. I ain't going in, y'all. You can come and see that bullshit yourself. The most interesting part, certainly to me, is where they, oh crap, this isn't the turn, where they have commemorated those human ruins that included the giants that the Timucua were. But unfortunately, So you're looking at burial grounds, you know, and this stuff coming from an archaeological background, I just can't deal with people who have no sense of honor for the dead. So you go in here, and then there's people, and they're just talking, and they're yap, 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 yap. It's like, these are people's burial grounds. Shut the fuck up. But it's a tourist trap. What are you going to do? One of my favorite things is that someone back here at some point raised peacocks, and the peacocks are still here, and the peacocks own the Fountain of Youth, and they walk around the property like squirrels. They'll walk right up to you and beg, which is good and bad. No one would get away with hurting a peacock in the Fountain of Youth, I can tell you that right now. No one would get away with it. But I was worried about the peacocks during the flood. One day I walked over here, and I was standing over, not that street, but the street over, looking across the water, and I saw out on the point where all the, this is all Fountain of Youth, that's the, what do you call it? They do the show where they project the constellations up onto the dome of the ceiling, whatever you call that. This is all tabby concrete that's blended with oyster shells, walls. Actually, I can go in here and go out the front driveway. I'll show you this. But yeah, the peacocks are all over. I started to say something else, but I don't remember what it was. So this was all part of Siloy, which was the original name of the fort that included the mission, and like there was the mission, and then there was the part that was more about like the fort. And the fort part, the that was called Siloy. So this was Siloy. But that's even up for question because, oh, I know what I was going to say. After the storm, when the water was still high, all along the banks of the river on this side were wood storks and roseate spoonbills, and I was very worried about the peacocks. Now, I don't hear any peacocks right now. Normally you're back here and you hear the but I don't hear a single peacock, so I wonder if they scooped them up and took them somewhere safe. But so this is Magnolia Street. And, now we're getting really close to the river back here. This would be flooded like mad back here. Oftentimes in that valley there are peacocks all over the place. They just fly over the fence. It's lovely back here, but man, oh man, you know, water damage. And this building looks so old. You see those dormer windows? Building looks so old. That's all the Fountain of Youth there. You see what the tape is, the walls, the fences are damaged. I would not want to live back here on this point. The river is right on the other side of all these trees. There's no way I'd want to live back here. But yeah, that's all that, where the tape is, the water, over the fence down. Yeah, oftentimes there's peacocks all over the street, just walking around like squirrels. If it's a male and you walk by, you know they raise their plume like being all alpha. the phone off. Since I'm here, I'll come through it quick. So this is the old jail. This is the second jail. The first jail was a part of the governor's house where the Spanish governor of East Florida lived, which ended up being right next door to Ponce Hotel. And the story goes Henry Flagler built this to be a jail, so the jail wasn't next door to his high-end hotel. Does that look like it was built as a jail to you with a bell tower? And the bars were over the windows, but there was no glass in the windows. That's the story. Does that look like a Tartarian building that was here? Flagler to you? Sure does to me. And then just over here, there's a Dunkin' Donuts right there. You see the orange roof. Just on the other side of that Dunkin' Donuts is San Carlos Street. San Carlos is where, as I was saying, after Oglethorpe and what's his name from the Carolinas came down and raided Silo and Our Lady of la Leche and Hombre de Estios, they built a second battlement wall there because it was the it was the narrowest point between the rivers. So that's why that's there. And part of why that all floods is because there was a moat there. But also part of it being this narrow place is that's all marshland back there. Whatever. And people build in places like that, you know, can't fix stupid. Can't fix stupid. I'm just gonna go past that church, that old Tartarian church by my house. If I can get across. I need to get off my bike here. I'm not going to be able to ride straight across. I'm going to have to wait to go across. I think I can go after the UPS truck. Yeah, I can. This is a good day. So yes. Church is not operational now, but I don't know who owns it, but they're smart enough to preserve it. You see that fence right up there? That's Our Lady of la Leche, we just were. Hi. Alright, so here on Sebastian, it's a cool little church. What's left of it? I don't think they do anything here. I think it's condemned. Let's just see if that tree could talk. Well, to some of us, trees do talk. And you know, what I find so interesting about this place is I am fairly sure that the tinting on that glass is new. because this church is not ancient. There's a bell tower there. Lightner Museum. I'm sure that tinting is. And here I am home, and the tree's been removed. Traffic is back to normal in A1A. Sebastian River is still high. Landowners here and blew everything off. Cleaned up some of the detritus down there. It was a good day. Now I'm ice creamed up. I'm going to sit down and start editing all this for you. Thanks.